Good evening, and welcome to another edition of Coffee with Tea. I'm your host, the amazing T Street. I've taken a few weeks hiatus before recording another edition of my show, largely because of some of the circumstances going on in the world. For a period of time, I didn't have a whole lot to say, and I'm a firm believer that just because you can speak doesn't mean that you should speak. If you don't have something meaningful to say, just say nothing. And so for a few weeks, I've chosen to just be in quiet contemplation with God, and looking out for my family and my friends and doing some activism and just really replenishing myself and my soul. The song that I opened with tonight was Tracy Chapman's All That You Have Is Your Soul. It says, don't be tempted by the shiny apple. Don't you eat of the bitter fruit. Hunger only for a taste of justice. Hunger only for a world of truth. Because all that you have is your soul. In the past few weeks, people have been asking me, what have I been up to? I've been doing some Zooms with people. I've been Zooming with people to talk about young people. I've been Zooming with people to talk about race and ethnicity and social justice. I've been up to something. Just because you haven't seen me doesn't mean I haven't been moving. And so some of the questions that have arisen in the past few weeks, as we have struggled as a nation to deal with the issues of racism, systemic, individual, personal, as we've struggled with the issues of race and racism in America, people who are close to me who are not Black or African American have asked me some questions. And I've been willing to engage on some levels and not willing to engage on other levels, because I think that we all have a responsibility to do our education of ourselves. Audre Lorde said it is not the responsibility of the oppressed to educate their oppressors. And so I've spent a fair amount of time talking, but not really being willing to educate people who aren't willing to put in some sweat equity into growing themselves. And so I came to the conclusion when someone said to me recently, well, T, I guess I don't get it. I thought we were cool. And besides, I don't see you as Black. I just see you as T. And I think that she thought that was a compliment, and it wasn't. And so tonight I will say to my white friends, it is not a compliment when you choose to dismiss any part of who I am. To say I don't see you as a mother dismisses the fact that I've raised two amazing sons. To dismiss me as an educator dismisses the fact that I have educated thousands of kids. To dismiss me as Black or African American says that you are dismissing thousands of years of history. There's nothing inherently wrong with being Black. So please choose to see me as I am. Because when you see me as I am, you understand that there are cultural things that go into making up the amazing T Street that are inherently coming from Black culture. The cadence with which I speak, that many people celebrate, comes from the Black church. The fact that I'm voluptuous, and you all get to hear me talk about that and sometimes celebrate that with me, comes from the fact that I eat some unhealthy foods that are a part of Black cultural tradition. The fact that I can code switch on and off and go back into a dialect when I'm with my friends and sometimes with my family that I don't always choose to use publicly says that there's a part of me that is tied, even linguistically, to my culture. And so when you say I don't see you as Black, whether you intentionally do it or not, you are dismissing who and what I am. I remember years ago when I was 368 pounds, I said to a friend of mine, why didn't you tell me I was so big? And she said something to me, and I knew what she meant. But I looked at her with side eye and didn't really trust her in what she said. She said, T, one, I thought you had a mirror, and two, I never really saw you as that big. I just saw you as T. And I said to her, everybody in America could see me coming from a mile away at 368 pounds and 5 feet tall. Yes, you did see me that big. What she really meant was, I saw beyond. I didn't just see your weight. I saw beyond that. And so when I know that what people mean when they say, I don't see you as black, they mean that's not all that I see when I see you, T. And I appreciate that that's not all you see. But I also want you to appreciate that I want you to see that part of me. Audre Lorde, rest her soul, said that there are 3 things that this culture teaches us to do with difference. Difference in and of itself is not a bad thing. It's what we choose to do with difference that makes the difference. Did you like to play on words? She said, we do one of 3 things. We ignore it. We pretend like it doesn't exist. I don't see you as black. We copy it if we think that it's dominant. Black culture, our music, our dance, our hair, our men. You co-opt that which you think is dominant. Or we destroy it if we think that it's subordinate or inferior. And so when you kill the things like our names and our pride and our dress and our cadence and our walks, and when you try to tell us that we should just assimilate, that's a form of destroying something that is different than you. And it presupposes that which you want me to assimilate to is superior. That's why I should want to become it. And I'm here to say to you that we should celebrate differences. I celebrate all of my friends and all of the intricacies that they bring to the table when we celebrate each other. I celebrate my Asian friends who bring some cultural dynamics that are not my own, but have certainly enriched parts of my life. I celebrate my friends who come from different faith traditions. Though we believe different things, at the center of who we are people of faith. And so I don't have to practice the same faith as you to respect and celebrate who you are. You don't have to be me or imitate me. I just want you to allow me to be who I am in the process. Because when we get to that place, we can begin the dialogue about what is an ism. An ism is the belief in the inherent superiority of one, you fill in the blank, and thereby its right to dominance. You can fill in any ism in the blank that you want. You could say racism is the belief in the inherent superiority of one race, and thereby its right to dominance. Sexism is the belief in the inherent superiority of one sex, and thereby its right to dominance. Heterosexism is the belief in the inherent superiority of one way of loving, and thereby its right to dominance. Any of those things that we filled in that blank with places one person above another. It says that one form of humanity is deeper and richer than the other. Respectfully, I submit that the way that you eradicate the isms that are in each of us, some people call it implicit bias, I call it an ism. The way that you eradicate it is first you identify it and you acknowledge that you have it. And then you start to ask yourself, what are the things that make me benefit from being whatever I am that subjugates other people? And you work to change that dynamic, not just with you, but systemically from the root of the problem. Because once we get to that place, Then we can have real dialogue about all of our lives mattering. Until we get to that place, there's not a whole lot of dialogue that can happen because inherently, some people believe that they are superior to others. And because they are, they have a right to dominance. Thank you for tuning in tonight to Coffee with T. I'm your host, the amazing T Street. But I want you to know something. There's absolutely positively nothing amazing in me that's not in each and every one of you. Tonight, I charge and I challenge you to walk in your own amazing. Have an amazing evening.